Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how I make these multicolor vinyl decals. I've been getting a lot of questions on how I do that, so I'll show you in this video how exactly we make these. So there's two different methods we're going to be doing today. We're going to be working on the parchment paper method for this one and the registration mark method for this one. So if you want to learn how I layer my multicolor decals, just keep on watching. Okay, so I have my Silhouette Studio pulled up right now, and as you can see, I have two separate decals we're going to be working on. We have a sunflower monogram frame and a mailbox thank you mailman decal. And I get a lot of questions on how I make multicolor decals like this and how I piece them together. And I know it seems really hard, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually really easy and really simple to do. So I'll show y'all in this video how I make this. So when you order SVG or DXF files, which I get most of mine off of Etsy, they usually come together kind of looking like this, where they're all pieced together and all you have to do is ungroup them and then group them together by color. But this one, for example, was a little bit more difficult, but most of the time when you get them, they'll be pieced together. So we're just going to pretend that this one looked exactly like this when you first get it. So all you do when you purchase a file off of Etsy or wherever is you download it onto your computer, and then when you're ready to put it onto your software, you open up your Silhouette Studio, you go over here to the top right or top left hand corner where it says file, and you open, and then you just select your SVG or DXF file and open it up into your Silhouette, and then it will look just like one of these two here. So the first thing that I normally like to start with doing is coloring my different colors exactly the colors that I want to cut them. You don't have to do this, but it just helps keep things organized. So the first thing that I went and did was I made my leaves the green that I'm going to use. So I turned them lime green, and I made sure that my sunflower was yellow and that the middle was brown and all of that. So once all of that was done, it is pretty much ready to go. This is going to be for an order I have currently. So she requested that her monogram frame be gray because her windows are tinted. So I'm going to first just go and change this frame to gray. So I'm going to go over here to my color panel and change this to gray. And it has no effect on your project whatsoever if you don't change the color. I just do it, like I said, for my own sake and just keeping myself organized. So now that I have that changed to gray, I'm going to go ahead and size it down to the size that she ordered, which she wanted a 5-inch decal, and this is obviously not 5 inches. So I'm going to just select my whole project, make sure it's grouped together, and to group it together, just select it, the whole project, and then right click and hit group. And you can always ungroup it later, but I'm just going to group it together just for the sake of sizing it down. So you go over here to this little top section right here where it has the width and the height. And you're going to want to make sure that this little lock is locked down, and that is to keep your aspect ratio correct. So lock that down, and then I'm going to change it down to 5 inches. And then it obviously goes down and keeps its aspect. So now that I have that size down, I'm going to want to add in my monogram. So I just went ahead and got her initials right here, but I just have to piece them together and put them inside of the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and get this monogram pieced together right quick. Okay, now I have my monogram all finished and kind of where I want it in the frame. Now I'm going to ungroup my entire thing so that way I can get my colors kind of back where I want them. So I'm going to go ahead and select the colors up here, and I'm going to ungroup. So now that my colors are ungrouped, I want to now group my monogram with my gray frame. Since these are the same color, they're going to be cutting together. So I'm going to go ahead now and select the frame. So I just hold down Shift and then select the frame. I'm going to right click again and hit group. So now, as you can see, I have my gray together, green together, and yellow piece together, and my brown. So I have my mat selected on the wrong size for this project. So I'm going to go over here to my top right hand corner and just change my cutting mat down to a 12 by 12 mat again. I was cutting a longer piece of vinyl earlier, so I had it selected at the longer mat. But I'm going to go ahead and put these kind of where I want them on my mat. So when you're cutting multiple colors, you're going to want to put the color where you're going to put the actual vinyl on your mat. So for example, this gray is going to be in the top right hand or top left hand corner, and I'm going to be putting a piece of vinyl that is about 5 inches by 5.5 inches. And I'll show you in a minute how I do that. But right now we're just going to piece them where we want them. Okay, once you have the colors kind of where you want them on your virtual mat, you're going to go and put your vinyl on your real mat. And I'll show you now how I do that. Okay, now that you have your vinyl on your mat and you are ready to cut, you're going to go over here and just send this project to your Silhouette machine. Just make sure all of your settings are correct and then hit send. Okay, so I just got done weeding all of my vinyl, and as you can see, each color is on its own individual sheet, and what we're going to be doing is transferring each color to the main decal to make a multicolor decal. So I'm going to be trying a new method that I'm sure everyone's been seeing all over the internet right now, but it involves parchment paper. So what you'll need for this is parchment paper, your vinyl, transfer tape. So I use Rtape Clear Choice AT65, and I'll link it down below so you guys can know the exact type I use. And then last but not least, you'll need a squeegee and some scissors. Okay, so to start off, you will need to find the very top of your decal, so the color that you feel that would start the whole project. So in my case, it would be my the middle of my sunflower, because I'm going to be taking this, transferring it to this, taking the flower, transferring it to the petals, and then taking the petals and then transferring it to here. So that is the route I'll be going with this. So the very first thing that I'll need to do is take that very top layer that I was just talking about, and we're going to put it on our transfer tape. So I'm just using this as a guide. This is the sticky part up here. I'm going to be figuring out where I'm going to put my brown on the transfer tape. So So this is going to be backwards in this case, so I'm going to flip it around. Okay, as you can see, we have our first layer right here. So now we have our sunflower that we're going to be applying this to. The first thing I'll do is I will cover up my sunflowers, but leave the very tip of your paper right here out so that you can stick your transfer tape to that and be able to move it around kind of and see, I can see through it, so I'll know exactly where I need to apply. So now, as you can see, I have this stuck right here, and I can move my paper around down at the bottom until I get it exactly where I want it. Okay, so I think we're good and centered. So now I'm gonna go ahead and hold this down right here and take my parchment paper off and then slide this down. Okay. And see, your transfer tape doesn't stick to the parchment paper, so it makes it very easy. So now, as you can see, I'm just gonna peel this off. Sometimes these little tiny petals get stuck, so I have to work kinda. Just a tip for you guys, if you're trying to get these small letters or small pieces off, all you have to do is bend your paper backing off at an angle behind it, and it comes off pretty easily. So okay, so here now we're left with our sunflowers. So now we're going to work on the next layer. There we go. All the pieces matched up so good. And I get a lot of questions on why I peel my vinyl off, even if it's on my final paper and everything like that. And the reason I do this is because I like to make sure that it's varnished well for the customer, that when they get it, they're able to easily take it off the transfer tape, because as you can see, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So I just like to make sure that I have it ready for the customer. So as y'all can see, this is a complete multicolor decal ready for the customer. Okay, so now I'm going to show you another way to layer your multicolor decals, and this is the most precise way to layer. So this is if you do not want to use parchment paper and you don't want to just eyeball it, you want to make sure you get the most precise way, so making it look exactly like it looks here. So in order to do this, you obviously just have your SVG file uploaded onto your software. And I'm going to go over here to my left-hand corner and I'm going to open up the drawing tools. So I'm going to draw 3 little rectangles right here, and you can just make it as rough or as small or as big as you want it. So now that I've got one drawn, I'm just going to duplicate this 2 more times. So I select it, right-click, and hit duplicate. And then I'm going to yet again right-click and duplicate it. So now I have 3 little rectangles up here, and the first thing I'm going to do is just center them and make sure that they're all spaced correctly and all of that. So you just select all of them, go over here to your transform panel, make sure you click that, center it vertically in the middle, and then center it horizontally in the middle. While they're all still selected, I'm going to right-click and hit group. So now here are my registration marks. So I'm going to have as many sets of these as the colors I have. So I have blue, I have red, I have black, I have silver, and I have white. So I'm going to make 5 sets of registration marks. So all I do is I make sure it's selected, and I'm going to duplicate this 5 times. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now select all of your sets of registration marks, and you're gonna center them horizontally right here. So you just align center. So now you won't see them all, but they're still there. So for right now, I'm going to group them together. So you're going to right click and group. And don't worry, we're gonna ungroup this later. So while I still have all of this grouped together and selected, I'm going to highlight my entire project and just make sure that I have my registration marks centered with my project. So you just center it horizontally. Okay, now I'm going to highlight my entire thing again, and I'm going to right click and hit ungroup. So now okay, sometimes it won't ungroup the whole project. You'll have to click, like for example, the blue. As you can see, it's still all grouped together. So I'm going to click the blue again and click ungroup. So now I have all of my pieces separate. So right here, I have 2 different blues that are not grouped together. So I'm going to want to make sure I group those together so they can cut together with my vinyl. So I'm going to select this blue, hit my shift, and select the other blue. I'm going to then right click and hit group. Now you want to group the blue together with one set of your registration marks. So all you do is you hold down shift, and then I'm going to select my registration marks. Okay, you are then going to right click again and hit group. So as you can see now, I have my blue and I have one set of my registration marks. So now I'm going to do this for every single color I have. So next I'm going to do red, and as you can see, each red piece is not grouped together again. So I'm going to select each of these and group them together. So remember, we're going to just click each piece and hold down your shift key and click each red piece. Okay, so right click again and then group those reds together, and then I'm going to select my registration marks again. Right click and group. So next I'm going to do my black. So yet again, I'm going to group together each black piece. So hold down shift. So then right click and group those blacks together. and then select another set of registration marks. Next, I'm going to do silver. And then last but not least, white. So then I'm just going to select the entire thing, right click, and group. So now, as you can see, the whole point of these registration marks is this is going to be a guide for you. So let's say that I have my blue cut and it looks exactly like this. You will be able to piece these together exactly how it was when you're done. Okay, so now we are just going to get each color and line it up on our mat exactly like we did for our first project. We're going to just put each color where it belongs and then get our mat set up with the colors in the right spot as well. Just make sure that when you are putting your vinyl down on your mat, you're going to include these registration marks as part of your cut. So now that I have my vinyl all ready and laid out, I'm going to go ahead and send this to my silhouette and it is ready to cut. Okay, y'all, so for this method, it's a little bit different. Like I said before, we're using registration marks. I don't really use these a whole lot unless it's something that I really want to get perfect. A lot of times, honestly, I'll just eyeball it, but this is just for the sake of showing you how, like, the right way to do it would be. And I definitely like the parchment paper method, but if you want to do it this way, I'll go ahead and show you how. So all you'll need to do is get some transfer tape. So yet again, using my Rtape, and I'm going to start with the very top layer, which would be my wheels. So we're going to attach this to this. So all I need to do now is just stick this on my transfer tape. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and do it kind of towards the bottom. Not all the way at the bottom because we need to leave room for our thank you at the bottom. So we need to make sure we leave room for that. Okay. We have that applied. So now all you need to do is get your, okay, let's see, the next layer would be our black. Okay, so now we just have to match up our registration marks up here with our registration marks up here. Sometimes as the registration marks get a little bit thicker, it's going to be harder to stick. Just work with it and it'll come off. Okay, so we have that layer done. So now we're going to move on to our blue. Next is our red. Okay, and then last but not least, our white. Now, all you have to do is cut your all you have to do now is cut your registration marks off and then just cut around your decal. And there we have it. Looks super good. I feel like it looks just like it did in our SVG file. Alright guys, so here we have the registration mark method and the parchment paper method. So let me know down in the comments below which one is your favorite and which one you plan on either trying or which one you like to do if you already do vinyl decals. So hard to say which one's my favorite. I guess honestly the parchment paper method seems like it would definitely be a time saver because you don't have to make the registration marks or deal with them. So I don't really know yet. I guess I'll have to just kind of see how it goes and see if I use it more, but let me know which one you like down in the comments. So guys, if you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to join my Facebook group, Simply Sally DIY, and join me on Instagram at Simply Sally DIY there as well. And I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.